Welcome to the ELT Research Garage. Are you an experienced or an inexperienced teacher? It doesn't matter how you answer that because I think you'll find this short clip interesting. This is a summary of a paper that I co-authored with Dr. Amanda Baker and Associate Professor Honglin Chen, and it was published in the Journal of Second Language Pronunciation, and you can find the link below here. Two of my previous studies showed that student teachers' cognitions, that's their beliefs and knowledge, can develop quite notably during a pronunciation pedagogy course. And I've made two short videos about these studies too, but what they didn't take into account was the student teacher's previous teaching experience. And that's important because second language teacher education research has very clearly shown that student teachers' previous pedagogical experience can have a substantial impact on the process of learning to teach language. And so the goal of this paper was to examine inexperienced and experienced pronunciation teachers and how their cognition developed during a 13-week pronunciation pedagogy course. The study followed a qualitative case study design in which a pre-course questionnaire, classroom observations, focus group interviews, semi-structured interviews, and a final assessment task were triangulated during the 13-week graduate course on pronunciation pedagogy. Of the 15 participants, 10 were classified as inexperienced student teachers. They had no pedagogical experience entering the pronunciation course, or pronunciation pedagogy course, I should say. The remaining 5 were classified as experienced student teachers. They had several years of classroom teaching experience that they brought to the graduate course. So what were some of the findings? The findings suggested that the student teacher's cognition developed only marginally. That is, they chosen the same activities in the final assessment task as they had chosen in the pre-course questionnaire. And this seemed to support previous research, which suggested that pronunciation teachers tend to use mostly teacher-centered traditional pronunciation teaching activities. However, a closer look at the assessment data showed that 1/3 of the activities that the student teachers chose in the assessment task were kinesthetic and tactile in nature. And those type of activities were not mentioned in the pre-course questionnaire. So the training that they experienced during the 13 weeks seemed to facilitate the student teachers' cognitions in that they now believed that kinesthetic tactile were beneficial in terms of teaching pronunciation to second language learners. And observing intact real classrooms seemed to facilitate and enhance that understanding. Some of them were able to watch an experienced pronunciation teacher teach pronunciation to second language learners in an intact classroom scenario, and that really facilitated cognition development. The data also suggested that the cognitions of pre-service teachers developed less than in-service teachers because, unlike the more experienced peers, they didn't have practical experience to anchor the newly acquired knowledge during the course, which also affected their confidence. Pre-service teachers who spoke English as a first language appeared to be particularly affected by the intensity of the course, the depth of the content, and the complexity and ambiguity of phonology. The findings therefore suggested that learning to teach pronunciation might be particularly challenging for inexperienced native speakers of English. The obvious question, of course, then is, what are some of the implications of this study? First of all, if you're a teacher educator, have your student teachers observe an expert or experienced pronunciation teacher, because this seemed to facilitate student-teacher learning quite substantially. If watching or accessing a real classroom is not possible, then perhaps watching classroom video footage may be a useful alternative. Also, during lectures, perhaps team up inexperienced with experienced student teachers so the experienced student teachers can share their pedagogical experiences with their novice peers. That may help consolidate everyone's knowledge in the course. Does learning to teach pronunciation go beyond a pronunciation pedagogy course? That's a legitimate question, and I'll be answering this in a future video. Anyhow, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel or follow me on Twitter. Till next time.